Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into one of Shakespeare's most devastating tragedies, Othello. Now, this is a story that shows how a great hero can be brought down, not by an army on the battlefield, but by a simple, poisonous whisper. We're going to peel back the layers of the brilliant and, frankly, terrifying manipulation at the very heart of this play.
So, what's the driving force behind this whole tragedy? Well, it really boils down to one single character, the villain, Iago. The poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge actually came up with a famous phrase just for him, motiveless malignity. It describes this kind of pure, deep-seated evil that just doesn't seem to have a justifiable reason. And that dark energy, right there, is the engine that drives our entire story.
Before we meet the cast, though, we need to get one key term straight. Othello is referred to as the Moor. Now, while historically that word referred to specific groups from North Africa, back in Shakespeare's day it was often used more generally for any person with darker skin. This is absolutely critical, because Othello's status as an outsider in Venetian society is the very vulnerability that's going to be exploited.
All right, let's meet the key players on this chessboard. First up, we have Othello, the celebrated and respected general. He's just secretly married Desdemona, a Venetian noblewoman. Then we have Iago, Othello's ensign, who puts on a show of loyalty but is just seething with hatred underneath. Alongside Iago is his wife Emilia, who also happens to be Desdemona's handmaiden. And finally, there's Michael Cassio, Othello's honored lieutenant, and, well, the man Iago absolutely despises. Keep these faces in mind, because their loyalties are about to be twisted in ways you just can't imagine.
So our story kicks off in Venice, a city that really prides itself on its law and order. But right under that polished surface, a plot is already brewing, one born from professional jealousy and a deep, personal hatred.
So what's the spark that ignites this whole tragedy? It's pretty simple, actually. One man's wounded pride. Iago is absolutely furious with Othello. Why? Because Othello promoted a younger, less experienced soldier, Michael Cassio, to be his lieutenant, a job that Iago was convinced was his for the taking. In Iago's mind, he's been passed over, he's been betrayed, and he is going to stop at nothing to get his revenge.
Iago's first move is just to sow chaos. He grabs Roderigo, a disgruntled suitor of Desdemona's, and they go screaming to her father, Brabantio, in the middle of the night. An enraged Brabantio drags Othello before the Duke of Venice, accusing him of using witchcraft to win his daughter. But Othello, he holds his ground. He explains that he didn't use magic. He won Desdemona's heart by telling her the incredible stories of his life and adventures. And Desdemona herself confirms it, choosing her new husband over her own father.
Brabantio loses the argument, but as he leaves, he gives Othello this parting shot, a chilling, prophetic warning. It's the first tiny seed of doubt, planting the idea that a daughter who deceived her father, well, she might just deceive her husband one day too. Othello dismisses it for now, but trust me, those words are going to stick around and fester in the back of his mind.
Okay, so now the action shifts from the political halls of Venice to a military outpost on the island of Cyprus. Othello has been sent there to command the Venetian forces against the Turks. But in a huge twist of fate, a massive storm completely destroys the enemy fleet before the fighting can even begin. Just like that, the war is over. And with no external enemy left to fight, Iago decides he's going to create one from within.
And this is where we really see Iago's genius for destruction. His plan is just cold and methodical. Step 1. Destroy Cassio's reputation. During a night of celebration, Iago pressures Cassio into drinking, knowing full well he can't hold his liquor. He then easily provokes the now drunk Cassio into a public brawl that Othello himself has to break up. The result? Exactly what Iago wanted. Cassio is publicly shamed and stripped of his position. Step 1. Complete.
And now comes the masterstroke. Iago goes to the disgraced Cassio, pretending to be his best friend. He offers him some friendly advice. He says the quickest way to get back into Othello's good graces is to ask the kind-hearted Desdemona to plead his case for him. To a desperate Cassio, this sounds like a fantastic idea. He has absolutely no clue that he's just walked right into Iago's trap.
In this moment just perfectly shows Iago's genius for manipulation. Just as Cassio is leaving after speaking privately with Desdemona, Iago makes sure Othello sees him slipping away. Then, he asks this seemingly innocent question, just loud enough for Othello to hear. Was not that Cassio that parted even now? He frames Cassio's exit as something sneaky, something to be ashamed of. The poison is starting to do its work.
See, Iago knows that whispers and suggestions can only take him so far.
To really truly break Othello, he needs proof, or at the very least, something that looks like proof. He needs a physical object, something tangible that he can hold up as undeniable evidence of Desdemona's affair. And that proof arrives in the form of a handkerchief. But this is no ordinary handkerchief. This was Othello's first gift to Desdemona, an heirloom that belonged to his own mother. To Othello, it's a sacred symbol of their love and her faithfulness. Losing it would be a devastatingly bad omen.
So how does Iago even get his hands on it? Well, the journey of this handkerchief is just a tragic chain of accidents and ill intent. Desdemona drops it by mistake. Emilia, Iago's wife, finds it, eager to please her husband, who had kind of weirdly asked her to steal it for him before. She gives it to him. Iago now has his proof, and he immediately goes and plants it in Cassio's lodge.
With the handkerchief planted, Iago makes his big move. He goes to Othello and paints this vivid, disgusting picture, claiming he saw Cassio wiping his beard with Desdemona's precious handkerchief. For Othello's already jealous mind, this is it. This is the final, fatal piece of evidence he needed. All his suspicions now harden into absolute, terrifying certainty. To seal the deal, Iago engineers one last brilliant piece of deception. He tells Othello to hide and eavesdrop on a conversation he's about to have with Cassio. Iago then gets Cassio to talk about his actual mistress, a woman named Bianca. But from a distance, Othello can't hear the name. All he sees is Cassio laughing and joking about some woman, and he assumes, of course, that that woman is Desdemona. This is the moment that just completely breaks.
And with that, the trap is completely sprung. Othello is now utterly convinced of Desdemona's guilt and Cassio's betrayal. All of his love has curdled into this burning, violent rage, and the play is now hurtling toward its tragic conclusion.
Iago's endgame is all about tying up loose ends. He manipulates Roderigo one last time, convincing him that the only way to win Desdemona is to murder Cassio. In the chaotic street fight that follows, Iago secretly wounds Cassio and then kills Roderigo to silence him forever. And in all the confusion, he manages to pin the blame for the whole bloody mess on other people.
Meanwhile, a completely transformed Othello enters their bedroom. He's no longer a loving husband. He's an executioner, convinced that he is carrying out justice against the wife he believes has betrayed him in the worst way possible.
Desdemona wakes up and pleads for her life, frantically insisting that she's innocent. But there's no reaching Othello now. His mind is completely shut, poisoned by Iago's lies. He refuses to listen to her, and he smothers her with a pillow, murdering the woman he once loved more than life itself.
Just moments after the murder, Emilia rushes in, and when Othello tries to justify what he's done by mentioning the handkerchief as proof, the entire web of lies just instantly falls apart. Emilia realizes the horrible role she unwittingly played. Defying her husband for the very first time, she screams out the truth. She was the one who found the handkerchief and gave it to Iago.
The horrifying truth hits Othello like a bolt of lightning. Iago, in a desperate fury, stabs and kills his own wife to silence her, but it's too late. The truth is out. Overwhelmed by a guilt he simply cannot bear, Othello takes his own life. The play ends with a stage literally littered with bodies. Iago is taken away to be tortured, and a wounded Cassio is left to try and restore some kind of order from the wreckage.
And that is the tragic story of Othello. It leaves us with a timeless and, frankly, a very unsettling question. Iago's entire plot was built on whispers, on suggestions, and on one single piece of circumstantial evidence. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How vulnerable are we all? Can simple doubt, with no real proof behind it, truly have the power to destroy even the strongest of loves?